This is the Climate Action Club informational meeting. I do want to share with you this slide, which talks about the LAUSD Climate Literacy Schoology Group. And in 2022, the board passed a board resolution. Among many of the things that were covered on there was the use of Schoology to act as a repository of climate literacy resources and curriculum. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the chat. If you have not already done so, please join the LAUSD Climate Literacy Schoology group. Okay. So this Schoology group, again, is it holds, if you go there, you will be able to view all the past professional developments that have been given since the resolution, 3 years, basically 3 years worth. And then also you'll be able to find curriculum and resources and links and just all kinds of information, okay? So this Schoology group, if you go under resources, you'll see, again, district resources, links and so forth. Here, you'll see the hyperlink that I just shared with you, but it's like a bit.ly. And this, if you click on that link that I shared with you right now in the chat, as long as you're logged into Schoology already, it will take you directly to the join group page. And from there, from that join group page, it'll pre-populate the access code. It'll be just already there. You just have one click to join the group, okay? So please take a look at that. And then again, all of these resources that I'm sharing with you today are going to be housed under this folder right here, okay? So again, this is not the course for champions, but this is the Climate Literacy Schoology group. And in this group, we have a folder for climate literacy champion information. This is information more geared for any school who's in this group that might be interested in learning more about what champions are, and I'm still getting regular emails from principals asking, how do I, select a climate literacy champion? And this is a great time to do it. We have a new semester. We have a new log for the differential. And so again, all that information is right here for you. However, for today, we have the Climate Action Club. So we have a new folder here. The presentation, the slide deck is right here for you. And if you click into it, you will find additional resources. All of these are linked to the presentation, but the presentation is there. And then I'll be going over all of this shortly. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's see. Let's go over the agenda for today. Okay. So today, I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to kind of start off with a quick introduction of the climate literacy approach that we're taking in LA Unified. The board resolution, the climate literacy board resolution called for climate literacy to be integrated into all subject areas. Okay. And so how are we doing that? I will also be talking about funding being provided. I will be a little vague about the funding right now because I'm still working with fiscal on getting the funds sent to schools. And, I will give you kind of like the minimum that you're going to get, but I'm really working hard right now to make sure that to possibly increase that amount, right? So that it's more than what I will tell you, the minimum. All right. And then finally, we're going to go over the materials being provided, the Forward Education Climate Action Kits, and the Lego Build a Challenge kits, okay? All right. So let's go. And we're going to talk about the climate literacy approach that we're taking in LA Unified. And this quote, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn." And I think this is really, again, I was in the classroom for, I think it was 9 years. And during those 9 years, I learned a lot about how kids learn. And really, it's the idea that, me trying to, this is my thinking when I first started teaching, which was, I know this much, I have this much information, and my job is to transfer that information to my students. And, I struggled, initially, I was working hard to transfer that information, and the transfer rate was rather limited, right? And then later on, I tried different approaches. And, when I started to really, you know, instead of thinking of students as like a vessel or an object of my teaching, I shifted that to just getting them to be involved and really saying, hey, what do you want to learn? How do you want to learn? And, let's try something, different, something that's a little bit more, real world. And at the time, kind of more project based. And I found a lot of success with that, and I found that kids just naturally want to learn that way. And so we're going to be talking a lot about how we can involve our students. Okay. All right. And so this all came from a PD, which is also linked in the Schoology group under the professional development folder. This was given in the summer last year. It was one of the summer PD optional sessions. And so we talked about, using real world problems, right? And so why use real world problems like climate change, right? And really what we found is it builds empathy in students, not just, the emotional empathy, but also a cognitive empathy where children, in order to solve real world problems, they need to kind of change their perspective and look at the problem from the perspective of the people being affected by the problem. And so when they do that, it's an incredibly cognitively demanding task and a rigorous task. And we found again that rigor is a huge reason why to use real world problems. Okay. And so rigor, one thing that we kind of discussed during that PD was how having an answer key. And by the way, a lot of this, if you were not at the PD we had yesterday, that CALI, the California Environmental Literacy Initiative group held, the webinar that they held. If you were not there, the recording will be in the Schoology group. I highly recommend you, watch it, because a superintendent of Encinitas in the past, he spoke and it aligned with everything that we're talking about today. And so again, empathy, rigor, and context, and so when we talk about context, again, one of the questions that I hated getting from my students is, Mr. Song, why do I need to learn this, right? And, one thing, and what I realize is when we start with real world problems, then the kids and kids are actually kind of designing solutions for these real world problems. Instead of asking, why do I need to learn this? They ask, I'm stuck. I need to learn something to get to the next stage of my development of my solution. How, teach me, right? Or where can I get this information? And so it's a very different perspective for our students, and different, kind of attitude in terms of learning. And then student culture and assets, when the students are solving real world problems that the teacher is not holding an answer key to, then the assets and then their background knowledge, all of the skills that they bring into the classroom becomes again a tool for students to contribute to the solution to these real world problems. And again, it becomes an incredibly validating experience for our students. And then finally, all of this wraps up in the idea that, again, when we involve our students, we empower them. And what we found, and we've given a PD, which is the recording is on there, and the presentation is on there, about the connection between eco-anxiety and service learning and action, right? So if we just dump information onto our students and tell them about climate change and the horrors of climate change, there's no planet B, and as true or false as those claims may be, whatever your thoughts are, regardless, just giving them that information is not going to be helpful. It's gonna build that anxiety in our students. However, I have seen this happen in schools, in our students, and I've heard it in other places where, again, when students are involved in the problem and they're part of the solution and they're empowered, when they hear about real world problems on the news or on social media or anywhere, instead of feeling anxiety, they feel challenged and they're like, let me at it. I've worked on solving these problems in my classroom and I can do this, right? And, and they get excited about, being able to contribute to these greater solutions. And finally, we use the UN Sustainable Development Goals as a foundation to this real world problem. I'm going to show you a quick little video, 3 minutes, to kind of just give you an idea of what the UN goals are. A few years ago, I didn't know what they were, and, in the past, the UN goals, they kind of update them every 15 years or so. And so in the past, these goals were mostly focused on developing nations. But this most recent set of goals has been very unique in that it is calling all citizens of this planet to contribute to these goals. So here's the video.
We can be.
We must be the first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
most determined
to fight injustice
and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done.
The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone.
Everywhere.
With no one left behind.
We will live in a world
where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
Where no one
wakes in the morning
asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world where no child has to die of
diseases we know how to cure.
And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
goes to school. And education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
to thrive
And be powerful
and safe.
we cannot succeed if half the world is headed. We will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets at home,
at school,
and at work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper.
and new wealth.
lead to decent jobs
For everyone.
and we will live in a world where our industry,
Our infrastructure and our
Best innovations.
Are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
we will live in a world
Where prejudices and extremes of inequality
Are defeated.
inside our countries,
And between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
and support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
What we consume.
Planet where we put back what we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of climate
change.
where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
will restore
and protect
Life on land,
The forests,
Animals.
The earth itself.
with peace between and inside countries.
where all governments are open.
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
Where all countries and we their people.
work together.
Partnerships of all kinds.
To make these goals a reality.
These are the United Nations global goals.
For sustainable development.
Let's get to work.
Okay, so basically, again, just a quick overview of the goals. And again, really indicating that this is something that we all work towards. ITI has their esports for good that's focusing on the UN goals as well. I'm seeing the UN goals in so much more curriculum nowadays. Discovery education has the UN goals embedded. And so again, you're going to see, I think we're going to see a lot more of this coming up. And so finally, I just wanted to kind of sum up the approach that we're taking with LAUSD climate change and climate literacy. And the idea is that we want to take an approach where we use a real world problem-based transdisciplinary learning. And so real world problem-based, we want it to be relevant to our students, to their passions, to what they care about, what they're concerned about. The problem-based, we need to start with a problem, not just with a project, where we say, everybody work on this project, but we need to, we need to come up with a problem with our students, involve them, And then students then design projects that they're going to use to help to design, to contribute to the solution to these global issues, right? And particularly sustainability, climate change related in this case. Now, transdisciplinary, that is where, again, we are honoring the board's resolution to integrate climate literacy into all subject areas. But we're kind of flipping it around. So we're not saying we're going to focus on, English language arts, math, science, social studies, all these different subject areas. Instead, we're going to take all of that, technology, robotics, engineering, coding, all of these different arts, all of these different things. And we are flipping it around where that's not the focus, but the focus is the problem students are working on, and students use all the content matter knowledge and all of these different things as tools to, again, solve these really, truly complex problems. And finally, and most important, is learning. So we want to shift what's happening in the classroom, and not every minute, not every second. It's kind of like DOK. When DOK, depth of knowledge came in with Common Core, we focused heavily on DOK 3 and 4, but that doesn't mean we don't teach DOK 1 and 2. But it's saying that let's balance it more, right? And so as we teach content knowledge, let's also balance it with context. Like where does this content knowledge fit in, right? And when we give them a real world problem to work on, all of these things become, all right, they make sense, right? The kids see how it fits in. And so again, the shift from teaching to learning is, we want it to be focused on the students. We want it to come from them, right? So this is kind of, again, quickly summing up the approach that we're taking. And I wanted to share this with you during the Climate Action Clubs, because again, the Climate Action Clubs are also a wonderful opportunity for teachers to give students these chances, these experiences, at the school site, right? So now getting to kind of the nitty-gritty, so the Division of Instruction is going to be providing ELOPE funding, and ELOPE funding is for elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. And we may have early education center teachers and principals here in this room, and we may have adult school teachers and principals. So what in the past week, we're kind of limited to what we can do with the adult schools and the early education centers. But this year, I asked for additional funding for my current budget so that I can use a different fund source to help provide this resources to all of our schools, right? And so, but anyways, predominantly it's going to be utilizing ELOPE funding. And so ELOPE funding, just realize it's after school, right? So all the materials should be used after school. It could be used on weekends, before school, but it can't be the focus cannot be the school day, right? Okay, so what are you going to get in terms of funding? So you're going to get funds to pay teachers X time, and you're going to have funds to buy additional instructional materials, little supplies, things that you might need to get the clubs running, and also, if you decide you need some more, more of the kits, you're welcome to use those to buy those kits as well. Okay. All right. And so, as I mentioned before, I'm still working with fiscal to, figure out the allocation for schools. I want to give schools as much funding as I can. So at the minimum, schools will get 18 hours, okay, of X time. And that's roughly enough for 12 one-hour sessions with students, and then 6 hours for teachers to plan and to prep, right? Because again, a lot of this is hands-on. It's a lot, again, because we're trying to shift it from teaching to learning, during that time with students, we want students to be in control, and we want students to be doing all the heavy lifting of thinking and problem solving, and not the teacher, right? The teacher is more the facilitator. However, in order for that to happen successfully during that hour, obviously we need to have prep time, right? And so therefore, I wanted to make sure that there was prep time available as well. Okay. And then, so the minimum, it's 18 hours. Instructional materials, the minimum will be $1,000. Let's go over, again, some of the materials that you are going to get, not the funding, but the materials. Okay. And so hopefully many of our schools already have these kits. We had fairly late in the year, last school year, we had some ELOPE funding that we had available. And so what I did with that was, purchase these kits which I learned about fairly, just late last year. And it's really, unusual. I haven't found anything like it where, again, yes, it's using robotics and coding, and there's a lot of products out there that include robotics and coding. But this one was very unique because of the fact that the curriculum that came with it and the focus of this was climate action, right? And so it's about, it had a lot of lessons that specifically went with supporting students to become climate literate, right? And so, we purchased a bunch of these for schools, and schools received them last year. And so, again, the schools that did not receive them last school year have the opportunity to apply for them this year. And so, if you apply for them, again, you will hopefully be receiving these soon. Okay, probably in the next 2 weeks at the latest. Okay, don't quote me on that, but again, hopefully. Okay, because again, the purchase order has, I think, is just getting to the point where it's at the point where the vendor's getting these purchase orders. And so then I'm going to be giving them a list of schools, and then they're going to start shipping. And they're saying right now all the products are in this country, so it should be able to ship almost within a day. Okay. And you should be getting an email from the vendor saying that you're going to receive. All right. Okay, so I wanted to show you a quick little video. So this was recorded by Dr. Baez to kind of really motivate our students, to get them excited about these climate action kits and the climate action clubs, right? And so I'm just going to play it for you. It's a very short video, and it's something that you'll have access to in the website that I've already shared with you, but I'll also share with you the direct website for. But again, you can show this to your students, and again, just help them to understand that LAUSD does care about our students and their climate literacy, and again, their futures. And to really, in order to prepare them to be ready for the world. And it's going to be a world that's complicated, that has problems like climate change.
Students, I'm Dr. Frances Baez, Chief Academic Officer for the Los Angeles Unified School District. Climate change is a big challenge impacting our planet. But here at Los Angeles Unified School District, we're all working together to create solutions. The Division of Instruction is all about giving you, our students, the power to make a difference now and equipping you to be the future leaders of climate action. That's why we're thrilled to launch the Climate Action Kits at your school. And speaking of amazing, let's give a big shout out to our climate literacy champions, a teacher at your school leading the work of climate literacy. With your help, these dedicated teachers have led incredible projects all year long, including starting composting programs to reduce waste, developing climate change lessons to spread awareness, organizing Earth Day art contests, and even rejuvenating school gardens to connect us with nature. This kit, powered by a microbit, makes learning coding and robotics about climate change fun. It has everything teachers need to introduce coding in a way that's engaging and directly connected to the real-world challenge of climate change. Students, you will use plug-and-play hardware, follow step-by-step tutorials, and complete exciting projects that teach you computer science skills while supporting your understanding of how to address climate issues. So are you ready to code for a greener future?
So again, that's a video that you can share with your students. And so now what we're going to do is I want to give you a little chance, especially if you haven't, if you don't have these kits at your school site, and just to kind of explore a little bit. And even if you're not at a school that, if you're at an earlier, like an early education school, take a look at it, because it might be interesting to see what's happening, what your students are going to be doing hopefully later on. Okay. So again, all of this is shared with you. The slide deck is shared with you. The links are in, you can just click on here and it'll take you there. Okay. I'm going to share the link for you in the chat. And then, so go ahead and open that up, and it should take you basically to the LAUSD Climate Literacy Forward Education, the Climate Action Kits LAUSD landing page. Okay. And so you can take a look at the videos right here, okay, for you to show your students. There's a lot of information here. This is the actual training, the PD that we recorded. We will have additional PDs, okay? And then here you can see some of the lesson resources. In the past, they gave us they created a separate, like a duplicate website, with all of their curriculum that didn't require a sign-in. That was just for LAUSD because they were in the process of becoming UDIP certified. they are now UW certified, which means that the single sign-on works. And if you just click on this, it will take you to where you can just click and sign in with your LAUSD single sign-on. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to take a look at that website that I just linked in the chat, and then also take a look at the actual curriculum page, and you can see everything that's available here. And I'm going to be honest with you, after LAUSD kind of signed on to all of this, they've been developing a ton of different resources, a ton of different lessons, and new lessons, and so they're adding more. And I actually talk with the CEO every once in a while, and he's been saying, you know what, Jerry, if your teachers want a specific lesson on a specific topic, let us know. We will develop it for you, right? And so we're going to be doing that a little bit later. But again, you can see kind of all the different lessons that are available. So I want you to just kind of take some time to kind of explore, okay? The easiest way to get to it is to go to the Schoology group, okay? And so in our general LAUSD Climate Literacy Schoology group, okay? If you click in that, and then you go under resources, and again, go to the climate literacy folder, which is the last folder on here, and then go to the bottom here, which is where the Climate Action Club folder is. In here, you will see the climate action kits. This is all from last year. There's a ton of resources available, but the first one up here is the Forward Education Climate Action LAUSD landing page, which is the page I just showed you, okay? My recommendation is not to try to do a lot of these, not to try to do all of these, but again, kind of talk with your students, have a discussion, and figure out what kind of things are bothering them around, their communities, what are some of the concerns that they have, right? And then maybe as they come up with these problems, what you can do is you can take a look and find one that might be related to that. Imagine your students taking the microbit and then coding it. And there's a way that you can code it and get data out of it. And so, they connect the water sensor to it, and then they go out to the garden, right? And let's say you guys if your school has a school garden, and then they connect that moisture meter into the ground, and then they leave it there for an hour or two, right? And then during that time, they can code it in such a way that it collects data, every 10 minutes or something like that, and they get a data point. And then when they come back, they can take that data and they can analyze it, right? And then they can figure out, maybe what time of day, do the plants need the greatest amount of water? Why is that important to know that? Because then we don't water our gardens when they don't need the water, and we water it when they do, so that we're saving a lot of water, right? Is that ultimately, even this kit becomes not the focus of your climate action clubs, but rather it becomes a tool. And so then students start to design their own, systems and their own projects with this. And they can use different sensors in a unique way that's not shown in any of these lessons. And then they can, code it. And then it's all block coding. So it's very simple to code. It's meant for third grade and up. And so they can block code it, and then they can, get it to do what they want it to do, right? So again, it's another engineering tool for students to be able to design a solution to real world problems, right? I'm going to move on then to our next area. So now let's move on to, this is now more for the primary grades, and it's because I made a promise to our climate literacy champions last school year. When I found this kit, I was thrilled, but then I was disappointed that it was third grade and up. And so then what about our younger children, right? Especially our early education centers as well. And again, I'm a STEAM coordinator, and in the past, I was very involved with STEAM certification. And we went to early education centers, and I learned a lot about what our LAUSD early educations are all about. And I was really proud to see what's happening in those centers. What they provide is so much better than what I paid for, for my daughters, and I was kind of upset that I can get my children into the early education center because there's like a income requirement, right? But I would have happily paid to have my children in the early education system, in LAUSD.
They should. This is so cool. Now put that there. This one? Yes, and put it on top of the yellow brick. Like this? Don't you think?
Linda, they found us!
What took you so long?
But I thought this was our secret place, Linda.
It is, together with them. You see, Leo, you and I can't build the change ourselves. We need their help.
Oh, that's right. We need your help. Build the Change is all about developing and sharing ideas between each other and to the whole world. You know, problem-solving actual real-world challenges.
You mean like getting up in time for school?
Shared it.
Sorry, what was that?
There's no video playing.
No one seeing the video?
I see it.
I see it too.
I see it.
I think it might be
Yeah,
your
we do.
computer.
I think she might not have on your. She might not be looking at your screen. You have to pick Jerry's screen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me go back a little bit and show the video again.
Developing and sharing ideas between each other and to the whole world. You know, problem-solving actual real-world challenges.
You mean like getting up in time for school?
No. Think a lot bigger.
A whale?
No, but it actually could be.
You mean like the planet? Like the Earth? The environment? Where we live?
Exactly. Your imagination can actually be used to make the world a better place. Your builds can help make where we live greener. They can help save animals and even make people's lives better and more fun. How cool is that?
And you know what? Our ideas need to be heard, don't they?
Your Build a Change ideas are going to be heard.
You see, when all of our great ideas from around the world come together, the grown-ups, the leaders, the ones making actual decisions, will have to listen. They will see and hear all your great ideas and use them to make a positive change.
Yes! Because your ideas are awesome, you are a great change maker.
Before we dig into today's subject, we want to know one thing. Are
you
ready
to build a change? Let's go!
Okay, so again, that video, is going to be all included. You can show it to your students, and you'll have access to all of this. Okay, and before I go into the actual curriculum of it, I'll show you the kits that you will hopefully be receiving, either you have received or you will be receiving very soon. Now, let me go into again why Duplo. And I think Duplo has a significant benefit because if you have, and I have daughters, twin daughters that are now 10 years old, and I think when you, even though it's age 6 and below, when you have Legos at the younger, with the younger students, it's still a challenge, the small motor movements and so forth that are required to do Legos can be a little frustrating. And then also sometimes you're spending more time focusing on building one little part than focusing on the meat of the curriculum and the lesson, right? And that's why I think Duplo is really advantageous, because students can build these quickly, and they're not just spending time building, but they're actually now spending time designing solutions and designing different things and really coming up with solutions, right? And focusing on the problem, right? So schools are going to receive the Story Tales set, which I thought was really unique. Again, the whole idea, especially in the primary grades, is to really start getting them early, to become climate literate and to be able to see that, there are better ways to design things so that it's sustainable, right? And it's better for our health and all of that. And so imagine students, building their own park, building their own school, right? And with these different things, building their own zoo even, and thinking about, and there's actually a lesson about animals as well. And, think about using these different, pieces to then build a story, build a design, right? And to come up with, again, solutions to real world problems, right? So we have, again, the story tales, the animals, and the people kits. And so you can see how many of each you're going to get. Okay. And I spoke with the Lego folks, and to make sure that how many do we need? And again, they're telling me that, these like this one don't really need one for every 2 kids, for any of this. A large group of kids can use, one kit. And so that's why, again, you're not necessarily going to get like, 10 boxes of the same thing, but you're going to get a variety, right? Because we want to give students as many options as possible. Here we have also tech machines. Okay, so there's some different, different types of, machines that they can build. Okay, again, sustainably, right? And then these two next sets are kind of important because I wanted to make sure that kids don't run out of blocks to be able to build their projects. And so the My Excel World and the Creative Lego Brick Set, those are kind of like additional blocks, right? So that kids don't run out, so they can actually build something significant. And sorry, ideally, I would say have them work together. They can work on different parts. The part that they're designing that's more sustainable, that helps, build more shade area. But then they can kind of work together in the whole class, and they can put their parts together so that they have one giant build, right?
Are you ready to build the change? The Earth needs your amazing ideas to take on the big challenges that our planet and people face, like protecting the environment or building a future where everyone is included. Building the change is all about using imagination and play to come up with your creative ideas for a better, more sustainable future. Because your ideas are awesome. And everyone needs to hear them, from your friends and local decision makers to world leaders and people everywhere. So, are you ready to build the change?
So, again, it's about these videos, I like these, and even for the upper grades, the Broad Museum, developed some curriculum as well, and they had some amazing videos. And I think videos, if used well, can really help to inspire our children, right? And give them kind of like the bigger picture and to really motivate them. So again, I like the fact that a lot of this curriculum has that, embedded in it. And here, I promised that I'd get you some of your Friday back, and I think I'm starting to become, I may not be true to that, but I'm going to do my best. So if you look at the either the slide deck, or you can take a look at the link that I put in the chat, and it's a Google Drive folder that has all the Build the Change lessons, okay? And so when you click on it, it'll take you to the folder, and you'll be able to see all the different resources here, all the different units, okay? And each one of these units, if you look at it, so let's take a look at the biodiversity and climate change. If you look at the one for the first one that's up here, if sorted alphabetically with the little asterisk, is going to be the Connect the Teacher's Guide. And so you can see here, everything is right here for you. The links are here, but also, if you find something doesn't work, everything is in this folder, okay? So I asked Lego to make sure that, everything works. And if it doesn't, again, that's why they came up with this option to give us a Google Drive folder with everything embedded, already in there. So all the lesson plans are here. You've got links. Everything here is linked. Here's the introductory lesson. The PDF to the presentation is here with also the links to the videos. And again, speaker notes, everything is here. Okay, so when you can, please take a look at those. And again, you don't have to follow every single one of these. You can modify them, you can adapt them, and really figure out what works for your students, right? And let's start with our students. What are their passions? Find something that they're going to be curious about, something that they care about deeply, and then connect the learning that they're going to do with that, right? So I'm gonna, let's see, kind of start getting us to the end. So something to kind of look out for, just again, you are going to get professional development in each of those kits. We're going to have vendor office hours as well, and we'll try to have, a handful of those where, again, as you're, starting your clubs, if you have any questions, you can come in and ask. And that's when you can ask a lot of the technical issues. This isn't working. How do I do this? And all of that. And then also, the division of instruction will have our own office hours. I'll have my own office hours where you're welcome to come and we can talk more about the curriculum.